From the Beaver County Auto Studios, this is Pittsburgh Sports Live. I'm Dan Kingerski. Thank you all for joining us. Beaver County Auto Studios. Of course, they'll make a Bub Beaver believer out of you. Fantastic prices, worth the drive up to Beaver County. Even if you don't live on the north side of Allegheny County, make the drive anyway. They've been fantastic sponsors for us. In fact, you can see, look. No, they didn't even have to pay for that stuff. They're treating us so well here at Pittsburgh Sports Live, Pittsburgh Hockey Now, and, of course, Pittsburgh Sports Now. Let's get into the Penguins. We can hit a bit of the game last night. I'm going to warn you, straight up off the top, I'm feeling a little Bud Moonshine today. Just a few things kind of crawled under my skin in the last week. You smile, okay, move on. Every now and then, the Bear has to swat the Cubs, let them know that they're the Cubs. Every now and then, you got to put some people in their place. And I haven't done it yet. I'm kind of feeling a little bit of an itch to do so. Let's start with the goaltending last night. And by the way, coming up on today's chat, I want you to join in. The chat is not about me doing a show as much as it is just chatting with you. So on the chat board on the right side, fire away questions, comments. Same on Twitter as well. Tweet me at the Dan Kingerski. I don't often see the at Pittsburgh Sports Live account. I think Asti handles that, and we're still building that part. Let's be honest, Pittsburgh Sports Live, it isn't necessarily its own entity so much as it is an outgrowth of Pittsburgh Hockey Now and Pittsburgh Sports Now's continued growth. So, anywho, click on that button to subscribe as well. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers ASAP, so we appreciate your help in that matter. Now, I want to get to last night. For every chucklehead, Matt Murray was terrible last night. He had 4 goals on 9 shots. In the words of David Spade and Tommy Boy, I'm going to hit you in the head with a tack hammer. Well, paraphrasing David Spade. Anyway, for example, tell me exactly how that goal, Matt Martin made it 3-2. First shot of the second period for the Islanders, by the way. Tell me how that's Matt Murray's fault. Puck hits the stanchion, kind of hops away from Mata. Martin at full speed, racing into the zone. Murray has to defend the shooter. He can't play the pass. And Alexiak at that point is also toast because he's now caught between a shooter with a great chance and an oncoming rusher. Martin played it well, made a great shot. Show me in any part of that play where Matt Murray could have made anything more than the attempt that he made. Same with this one. This made it 2-0. Riley Shane gets beat behind the net. You see Jack Johnson and Chad Ruedel sounding the red alarm, realizing, oh no, Shane doesn't have the puck. We're not about to break out. And, a guy has a point-blank shot on Murray from right there with time and space, and the puck had, the pass had some zip. No chance at that whatsoever. So do me a favor. I will give you every bit of knowledge I have acquired in the last 18 years of covering this sport and living in it and all of that stuff. I will give you every ounce I have, and I will point you to great resources to get even more. Don't bring the weak sauce. It really just... 4 goals on 9 shots, as if he had a prayer on any of them. DeSmith was a little shaky at first, but the goal he allowed, actually 2 goals, I guess, the one off Jamie Alexiak's skate. What are you going to do? Just It was that kind of night for the Penguins. The hockey gods, I tweeted it in the first period, the hockey gods were not going to let the Penguins off the hook. How many times did you see Crosby and Simone hook up beautiful give and goes and cycles, creating space and time in the offensive zone? They looked spectacular. And then at the end, the puck would roll off Crosby's stick, or it would just bounce the wrong way, or Hornquist missed a couple of golden opportunities last night. Hit the post on one. Sheahan rang the post. Yeah, Sheahan rang the post on the other one. Some nights you just have that. It seems that Barry Trott's teams have traditionally capitalized, especially against the Penguins, on those kind of nights. Think back to how many times the Penguins would outshoot the Capitals 40-20, and it would be a close game or the Capitals would win, at least in the regular season until 2018, right? That's what you saw last night. I think Matt Cullen was a bit prescient. He kind of talked about some things leading up to it, but last night after the game, he wouldn't have been prescient. He would have been correct and very analytical on his team. And we've got some locker room sound, some interviews with Daniel Sprong, and I threw a couple questions at Matt Cullen last night as well. Here's Cullen post-game last night, and I want you to see this. And we'll get to the chat board, too. Do me a favor and hop on there. I see Brad and Jackie. Kind of a not highly publicized chat today, but that's why you should subscribe. All right? So that way you get notified. Here's Matt Cullen in the locker room last night.
We felt like we controlled the first period, and we come out, behind, and I think we were pressing a little more than we would have liked. Obviously, guys want to make a difference, and that's a good thing, but you got to stick with the game plan. And I think as we go through the season, that's one of those things that as a group we will grow and get smarter at sticking with what we do, and defending when it's in our end, and then when we get our opportunity, then we go.
I apologize if you were asked this already, but how emotional was the game out there for all you guys and everything that's going down?
Yeah, I think we all talked about it, before the game, and obviously follow everything very closely, and everybody is extremely emotional, and we hear it like everybody else here, and this is our hometown, and we all love Pittsburgh, and it sure makes you think about family and what's important. So we all feel for everybody involved.
A game like tonight, where you outchanced them so heavily in the first couple of periods, is this an anomaly? Do you take anything from it going forward?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, it's one of those things that as a group, it's hard as a player when you control the play and you come out of the first period behind. It's hard not to let frustration creep in, and I think that we got a little bit frustrated tonight, and when that happened, we kind of loosened up and tried to make a great play on every play, as opposed to defend when it's in our end and then play offense when we have the opportunity. But I think we got a little impatient, and that's natural. But I think as we grow here as a team, that's something we need to get better at.
When you're in the middle of one of these games where you're not giving up a lot of chances, but the ones you're giving up are going in.
Yeah.
Do you realize it while it's going on?
Yeah, it's you realize it's kind of it's an odd night, and that happens. The bounces don't always go your way, and but again, that's we're a mature group, and I think that we need to learn from this and do a better job of not allowing frustration to creep in and just sticking with the plan. And we have enough offense in here to get goals back. It's just a matter of playing the right way, regardless of what happens.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah.
And of course, brought to you by Beaver County Auto. You know what? I was so ecstatic that they came on board before we had really a proof of concept. And this is still a work in progress. Dear Lord, we are about 25% done. Some of the things that some people were supposed to do haven't come through yet. I haven't kicked them too hard in the butt. But this little desk and this, we've got a lot more coming on Pittsburgh Sports Live. It's just a matter of finding time in Penguin season and the middle of Pitt season to get all of this great stuff done. But you heard Cullen, impatient frustrated. We have to work on that going forward. What a huge difference Cullen makes. There was no one saying that last year. The coaches were saying that, but there was nobody really in the room saying that. There was no one kind of kicking guys' butts or holding them accountable. There wasn't that occurring last year. So Cullen worth his weight in gold already, because you see how much different this Penguins season is, how much more focused, how much more structure they've brought to the game. I mean, even with the start of the season, think back. They were playing that kind of hockey last March that we saw in the first couple weeks of October. That's not going to stand with this team. And that's why I haven't yet wavered or even considered backing off my pick of the Penguins as the Eastern Conference champion. I am starting to see some teams in the East, though. How about you? The Islanders, for one, much better than I anticipated. Robin Lehner looks pretty good in goal. Lehner has long been forecasted as a starting, kind of an upper echelon top goaltender because of his size and his athleticism. I don't know precisely what went down last night, but Greiss had to finish the game. With goaltending, Eberle playing like he did last night, the Islanders have a shot to be a pesky kind of 8-seed playoff team. And Carolina, Darling is not the tire fire that he was last year in his first year as a starting goaltender. So Carolina is on the positive side of 500 as well, 6-5, I believe. Plus, you've got some other good teams in the East. The Penguins still head and shoulders above all of them because you see what you're getting. One of those guys that you're getting is this guy. This is Dominic Simone's goal. Worked just a beautiful cycle with Crosby. Gensel went down in the crease, so Crosby improvised, went behind the net, and Simone went and found the soft spot. Simone's pass to Gensel caromed off Ryan Pollock and into the net for the goal. They certainly deserved it. That much is certainly clear. Let me jump back. Oh, I turned away from YouTube. Sorry. All right, Jackie, what do you think of a one-on-one trade? Daniel Sprong for Josh Ho-Sang. Let me tell you something, Jackie. If I'm in the Penguins chair and the Islanders offered that, I wouldn't even need to consult the scouts. Yes, done. Done deal. Sprong had a good period last night. We've said that a couple times. His good periods are getting better. He's still struggling with consistency, though. He's not carrying that from shift to shift or period to period yet. And that's why he was limited to 8 minutes last night. There still isn't that trust. There still isn't that you know what you're going to get with Sprong, good or bad. You're kind of hoping. Now, what Sprong did last night, and I just didn't have enough time. There are only so many hours in the day. I really would have liked to have analyzed Sprong's game last night. What he did and what he decided to do, every time he was on the ice, he was going to shoot the puck. He was going to shoot it, come hell or high water. He was going to get that puck on his stick, and he was going to shoot it. Now, obviously, the downside of that is he had a couple, I would call, ill-advised shot attempts. One from high in the zone, when really his play was to go to the defenseman and let it work down low. But he was going to shoot it, and that he did. I thought, and I said this if you watched the post-game from PPG last night that I did. I think the mic actually cut out as I said this, so maybe you're hearing it for the first time. Sprong on Tuesday night looked like an American Hockey League player trying to break into the NHL. No longer a juniors player. And I mean that as a compliment. It's a little backhanded, and I don't mean it as such. He's taking that step forward. The confidence he was given on the road trip when they just dumped him out there in the third period in Vancouver and said, all right, kid, go do it. And you could see him puff his chest a little bit. Here is Daniel Sprong in the locker room yesterday. It's only 90 seconds, so bear with it. It's not long, but you can kind of get a sense. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to tell you my sense of it. I want you to watch it, and then you tell me what feeling you had watching Daniel Sprong yesterday.
Look at that way.
I'll take as many as I can get every night, but I'm a shooter, and it's frustrating when you don't get a shot on net. And you look back at the game film, you see where you shot, but it's not really opportunity. It means you not really have the puck much when you don't have an opportunity to shoot. But like I said last game, our line, I think all four lines created a lot of offense, and we produced a lot of shots, and it was nice to get those looks. And I think if I keep doing that, they're going to go in.
Pretty good confidence boost for you, getting a shift or two with Gino. I don't know how many it ended up being, but
yeah,
Sully elevated you a little bit. Strong start.
Yeah, for sure. A couple shifts sit in the first, and then Granner changed. Me and Rusty were holding the puck down low, and Gino hopped on and created a good shift there. It's nice to produce on the offensive side, especially when you had a good shift like that. I think Gino made me a great pass, and I think I scored that most of the time in the slot there, but he made a good save and just tried to get it back to him. Rusty did a really good job in front, and Gino did really good finding the open spot back door.
Jim Rutherford said he gave you some stuff to look at the press box. What did he tell you to pay attention to and maybe learn?
I just had to write some notes. I think that stays between the coaching staff and Jim and myself. But I had to write some notes, and I think that helped me a lot in the Vancouver game. And I think it clearly showed with the 7 shots. And I think getting scratched, that's motivation. And I thought I bounced back pretty good. But again, we got the win. That's the most important part.
And there you go. Now, hop on the chat board or even tweet me later when you get a chance to check out the video. What sense did you have watching Spronger there? Here's my take on it. There's a bit of desperation. And it wasn't an empty desperation. It was a guy who's just tired of it. Maybe a bit frustrated. Frustrated is not the right word. Who's sick of it. How's that? He's sick of not getting shots. He's sick of not getting ice time. He's mad as hell. And he's not going to take it anymore. He's going to take matters into his own hands. And I dig that. I didn't, we didn't play the full Sprong scrum. I thought those were the important 90 seconds. But did you get that same sense that he's just not going to take it anymore? That he's going to contribute. He might not contribute in the right ways, but damn it, he's going to do something to the best of his ability. I think that is a cataclysmic step forward for him. He's kind of saying, listen, if I'm going to go out, I'm going out on my sword, not yours. I'm not going to try to play a full game. I'm going to get the shot on net, and I'll figure out the rest as it comes. We'll see if it works. I have to tell you, it's probably how I would do it too. When you just get so lost, sometimes you just say F it and you do it your way. Maybe that's where Sprong is about at this point. To hell with the NHL game, I'm playing my game. It worked for a bit last night. I think he's smart enough in the offensive zone, is Daniel Sprong. I think Sprong is smart enough in the offensive zone. He's not going to have a difficult time adjusting to finding open space, adjusting to getting better shots. Look, that if he's going to be a goal scorer in the NHL, he can't just be firing shots from 30, 35 feet. NHL goaltenders are gobble those up. NHL defenders will block those well before they get near the net, and the other team's going to transition. And the Islanders actually started to jump on him. They realized he was going to shoot the puck. They got on him very quickly, and that changed the dynamic a little bit too. Let's see. Brad, I could see Cullen becoming a coach whenever he retires. Yeah, whenever, huh? 44, 45 maybe? He looks pretty good, doesn't he? Although last night that line had their lunch taken from them by the Barzal line. They were smoked last night. Ole led the team in ice time. Jamie's added offense has been nice. Yeah, I kind of feel like I was on the front end of that curve, saying that Alexiak could play the right side. I like him much better on the left side. I like him tethered to the defensive zone. But he's making me eat some of my words, because I always thought what happened to him on the right side was that his game got too big, too complex, too much. And he would begin to chase it a little bit. That hasn't been the case in this most recent switch to the right side. He and Ole Mata. In fact, Alexiak last night, I don't know if he got enough credit on the television side. I hope he did, because Alexiak sprung Crosby on Sid's goal. Great step up at the red line. Just planted himself into the Islanders' rush, knocked the puck loose, and away Sid went, ripped the shot from the left wing circle. That was really tremendous. So let me check Twitter here as well. Lots of likes, but I don't see any comments. It's a weird day. I could watch Google traffic too and just see Pittsburgh is we're tired, aren't we? Today is a day of just tuning out. Is the president still in town? You've got the whole political thing now on top of the tragic thing, and I'm just happy to keep talking hockey. I'm not getting into it. Don't care what you think. I'm not going to tell you what I think. We're going to talk hockey. We're going to do our purpose. We're going to serve our purpose, rather, and serve as a distraction. Obviously, we share the anger and the grief and the sorrow for the stupidity and the hate on Saturday. And I can't say it any better than so many others have said it. So I'm really not going to try. I'm just going to serve our purpose and provide hockey coverage so that you have the distraction from life and the insanity carrying on around us. Looking at Shelly Anderson's tweet, Chris Letang back on the ice at practice today. So, of course, the defensive pairs are Dumoulin, Letang, Johnson, Ruedel, Mata, Alexiak, and Riikola is the seventh man. Let's talk about Riikola now as well. Did anybody else really feel like he was a bit of a lost puppy last night? I really had that impression. He was not the devil may care, just go for it defenseman last night. He was backing up. He bobbled the puck. He didn't look sure of himself. He was giving opponents a lot more space than he ever did in training camp or even in his first stint in the lineup. I think he's learned fear. You know, it's easy to have no fear when you've not been presented with being beaten, without being presented failure. It's easy to have no fear when you've not failed. After you've failed, then it becomes a lot more difficult. And I think Yuso is probably in that situation right now. In fact, if Letang is back in the lineup, I would not be surprised to see Ricola go down to Wilkes-Barre and perhaps, another defenseman be called up just to sit in the press box and let Ricola begin to keep working on his game. Could be wrong. The organization didn't say that to me. That's, I think, maybe a prudent course if he's going to play timidly. You don't want to let him rot in the press box, and you don't want to take Ruedel out because the Penguins, I think, found that with Ruedel on the right side of that third pairing or even second pairing, depending on how you classify he and Johnson, they really like having that righty there and Ruedel's puck moving. It served them well on the road trip, and it even served them well last night, although Ruedel on the penalty kill, woof. He blocked a pass that was never going to happen. He went down on the far side of the crease while the puck carrier was literally in the near side of the crease. I found that a little bit of a humorous moment, only because I'm sure that he looked up and realized his positioning and probably just shook his head. But I think he lost his positioning a little bit. Maybe thought he was in a different spot on the ice than he was. Let's see here. Theodore, we really missed Letang. Yes, Theodore, but I'll tell you this. When you outshoot a team 15-6 in the period, you have how many glorious grade A scoring chances. And you hold the other team to 0 shots in the first 9 minutes and 30 seconds of the second period. Sure, I don't know how much more Letang could have done for them last night, in the first 30 minutes at least, right? I just, the Penguins should have buried 4 or 5 of those. It was definitely a night that the hockey gods decided that the Penguins were going to pay a little bit for their 9-1 win in Calgary when they got a few of those breaks. And Calgary was getting chances too and couldn't score, and everything the Penguins chucked at the net went in. So I think maybe last night was a bit of recompense for the Penguins. Hey, Joshua. I think Letang has been playing the best hockey of his career. Last night it was obvious what a loss it is when he's out of the lineup. And Theo seconds Joshua saying that he's back to Norris level. You know what? I grazed that subject a week ago, maybe 10 days ago, before the road trip on PittsburghHockeyNow.com. And by the way, do me a favor and like and share as many of those articles on Facebook and Twitter. Make your friends read them. Grab their head, hold them to the screen. Do what you have to do. I don't want to put Letang in the Norris conversation for this reason. Is because the NHL trophies are a bit like the NFL Pro Bowl. So much of it is based on reputation. Letang would have to have just an extraordinary year. I'm talking 85, 90 points, a plus 30, plus 40, before he gets into that conversation, only because he was so rough last year. And he missed so much of 16 because of that neck injury. Forgive me, I have to wipe my eyes, but otherwise, if it were an even playing field, Theodore and Joshua, yeah. If Letang were already in that Norris radar, he'd be front and center right now. You're both right. He's been absolutely spectacular. Sure, every defenseman who plays 25 minutes a night is going to have a couple bobbles, a turnover here or there. I don't know if you saw it also on Pittsburgh Hockey Now. The Penguins' defense accounted for 1 turnover in Vancouver. A single turnover. The entire defensive core, 1 turnover in Vancouver. So, yeah, when you do as much as Letang, you're going to have higher than usual turnover stats. But Hedman and Carlson are almost guaranteed nominees every year. I'm not sure how voters will treat the combo of Burns and Carlson in San Jose, but, Doughty in L.A. as well. And I've even heard some people pushing Morgan Riley into the conversation. Of course, you know where that comes from. So it's possible Letang breaks in. If he keeps this up, Lord knows there's enough Pittsburgh media. If we started pushing him to our northern brethren, maybe it would take flight. Let me see what else I've got here, because there were a few things I wanted to get to in this chat. We actually started on time today. No gremlins, no dropped feeds. I don't know how to take this. It's actually going smoothly. The signs are still hanging. I haven't sneezed yet. Here is one thing I do want to get into. And that, I guess for the moment anyway, here it is. And that is Dominic Simone. Right? What kind of a game did that young man play last night? He was really good last night. You can see I have a couple texts too. And what I did today on Pittsburgh Hockey Now, I hope you'll take a minute to check that out and to read that, is Simone and Crosby have hooked up. They've got the chemistry going. Now, it's kind of a poorly kept secret that Sid really likes Simone on his line. We've been told that by I don't know how many sources. That's just common knowledge inside the Penguins. Sid likes playing with Simone. To his credit, Sid never lobbies for line mates or tells the coaches, I want to play with this guy, unless they ask, which I'm sure they have. Like, what do you think? I mean, he's the captain of the team, and he's that good, but otherwise Sid plays with whomever. But there's an otherworldly chemistry with Simone. And let me grab the stats here. Because when they are together, the numbers from last season and this season bear out the same sort of trends. So even though this is a small sample size this season, it's the same trend as last season. Now, they played about 235 minutes together last season. And Crosby's metrics jumped. His Corsi was up, although to hell with Corsi, really. I hate having to quote it. More importantly than Corsi, scoring chances, they were up. His goal differential, significantly better with Dominic Simone. In fact, with Simone last year, Crosby and he were on the ice for 18 goals for, just 9 goals against in 235 minutes. Without Simone, Crosby was a negative. With everybody else, Crosby was underwater goals against. His Corsi was about 54% with everybody else. It was about 62% with Simone. Now, this year, that gap on Corsi has widened because it's a little bit of a smaller sample, so the numbers are a little bit more volatile. 5 goals for, 1 goal against. Scoring chances, over 60% of those with Simone, down closer to 52, 53% without Simone. So everything about Crosby is accelerated with Dominic Simone. And let me tell you why. There's several reasons, actually. Simone is creative offensively. 2, He skates very well, but it's how he uses that 5'11", 190 pounds. He's a little Tasmanian devil on the wall, end wall, side walls. He is a puck retriever who then plays the game. You know, Carl Hagelin is a fantastic puck retriever, but sometimes his game is lacking the other stuff. Simone's game doesn't lack that. He really works well with Sid, and I'd like to do this for tomorrow on Pittsburgh Hockey Now. I'd like to, if I can get the time. Obviously, tonight's Halloween. Happy trick-or-treating. I'm already out of candy. I'll tell you a story about that before we finish up the chat here. Where was I? The Penguins cycle last night. And I don't know how many of you noticed the difference. They added a wrinkle. They created a triangular cycle from the mid-wall to the net last night. They weren't using the corner. They were using the circle more so than they have. I mean, I've seen the play before, but last night they were going to it. It's essentially the equivalent of a basketball, posting up on a guy at the top of the key, which is what they were doing. I really love when Sullivan starts grabbing the X's, the marker and going to the chalkboard. And hopefully you appreciate that I'm able to bring some of that stuff to you. I think it's one of the things I bring to this market, whereas a lot of my colleagues are very good at some of the personal stories. I'm going to bring you the hockey story, and I'd like to do that for tomorrow if I can. But essentially, and here I'll use the Beaver County Auto. Let's call the B the net. Let's call the Penguins banner the blue line. So here's the offensive zone. What the Penguins were doing was posting up. I saw Brian Rust. I saw Gensel do it. Even Simone kind of post up. And then you kind of run the pinwheel. Here, you go behind the net. You keep moving the puck here, looking to get that puck into the scoring zone. And that's how Simone got his goal. Crosby brought the puck back here. Simone swung right out, actually right over here, while Gensel maintained the post. Was that too much for you? Could you follow that on the Beaver County Auto? I'm sure they'll be thrilled that I'm using their sign as the offensive zone. But hey, whatever brings you some attention, right? So check out beavercountyauto.com as well. Let's see. Chris says, "Hey, Dan, is it time to consider trading Brassard? I'm a fan, but he's just not a fit. He's so injury prone." This is the first time I think he's really been nagged like this in a long time, Chris. You and I in fact, what did I've been writing so much this entire year. I didn't take the summer off, so at some point I've written everything already. So it feels like I'm repeating myself, but I forget that in August nobody was paying attention. Yeah. Chris, here's what I wrote back then, and maybe you agree or disagree, that if the Penguins can deal Brassard for a guy who is a good third-line center, who can thrive in those 12, 13, 14 minutes a game and feel like that's his place in the world, if they can get a guy like that who also can skate and contribute offensively, that's so huge. That's what held them back last year with Riley Sheahan. Sheahan can defend all night long. Sheahan really doesn't drive the rush, doesn't drive offense. He just, that's not his game. That's why I like him so much better with Cullen on left wing. You saw last night, and you've seen now for a couple of weeks since that SCH, the shutdown line, was formed. He's good battling for the puck on the wall and stepping out into the circle. Rang the post last night, doing just that. I think Sheahan can do a lot more of that. If he would shoot the puck 3-4 times a game, he'd be a 20, 25 goal scorer. His shot is good. I mean, he's got a wicked wrista. But I think he thinks his game is defensive. And so sometimes it takes a good while to crack that nut and convince a guy that he can put the puck in the net. Maybe the Penguins are getting there with him, convincing him that he's got a lot more to offer. But to that third line center point, Chris, they could get a lot more than just a third line center for Brassard. And so if they can get that third line center who can contribute and additional pieces, be it something to bolster their really their sagging prospect system, more draft picks, right-handed defensemen. Yes. Long-winded answer. Yeah. I think that is something that is doable. I don't know what this injury is. They have been completely mum on this injury, and I have not been told, not hide nor hair, not a whisper, not a wink from somebody who knows, and from any of our sources, what this is. I'd love to speculate. I think I can narrow it down to a few things, but because I'm in the locker room, if I said something, there'd be another website, Kingerski reporting that Derek Brassard, so forgive me, I have to be a little bit careful on some of that stuff. Maybe I'll just keep sending Shelly Anderson into the locker room, which is where she is today, by the way. You'll see a lot of that. You'll see a lot more content coming up this afternoon on PHN because she is covering practice. I'm looking here trying to find her feed. I don't see anything yet. Let me see if she's texted me. Nope. No text yet, so it must be a good practice. I've been asked, I see John on Twitter asking me, and I was asked this last night too, and I forgot to ask the Penguins. If anyone knows who narrated that opening video, I would absolutely love to know because it was just pitch perfect. It was so fitting of the moment and everything that we're all feeling from Saturday. It was just it would be, you could make 100 videos and I don't think any of them would have been as perfect as last night. And I want to tip my cap to the Penguins, whomever was involved in that. I'd love to, yeah, I don't know who narrated it, John. That just, it wasn't any of the Penguins' usual cast of characters. It wasn't Ryan. It wasn't Steve Mears. Certainly wasn't Mike Lang. Maybe that's the only way that they might have been able to improve it would have been Mike Lang do it. I don't know. But it was really good as it was. All right, so Chris agrees with me. Appreciate that, Chris. What else do we want to touch on here? Because I want to try to go as close to 1 o'clock as possible to let everyone get their questions in. Really do appreciate when you hop on that chat and join us there. I'm going to go back to Pittsburgh hockey now and recycle a little bit what the Penguins look like right now. I mean, we're essentially 10 games into the season. This is where general managers profess to begin to assess their team. They always give them that 10-game grace period. They watch. And then teams are supposed to start firming up after 10 games. Because of the ridiculous NHL point system in which a team can just, or I should say no team can run away Even if you keep winning, the other team is only 1 point back because they lost in a shootout. They lost in overtime. So points are so much more valuable. I think that 10-game window gets a little bit more serious. I really like where the Penguins are right now. I'm not sure that Derek Grant is a fit here. He's insurance. I think I'd like to see where Teddy Bluger is at. If they're going to need a fourth-line center for a while, I'd rather see Ted Bluger. I'd rather see Teddy than Derek Grant. Grant last night he played 5 minutes. That should tell you all you need to know. Sprong played 8:12. Grant played, I think, 5:38. How about that? No notes, huh, kids? He just Grant didn't command the puck. He didn't command any of the zones. He's adjusting. Let's say that. And I don't know if he can adjust fast enough, because when you come from a team like Anaheim, one of those big traditional Western Conference teams, that's a world of difference to the zippy Penguins. And the way the Metro Division is now, if you can't skate at 75 miles an hour, forget it. You're toast. And Bluger can. So if I had my druthers, I think I'd see that call up here pretty soon. And now, forgive me if Teddy Bluger is hurt down in Wilkes-Barre. I haven't been watching them as closely, anyway, as I'd like to. But Derek Grant is just kind of, I don't know that it's ever going to be a good fit. I was excited by his presence because, I like big hockey. It just, Grant isn't necessarily as big of a player as I thought, or I haven't seen that net drive that I saw when I scouted him after the Penguins signed him. I grabbed a bunch of Anaheim games, and I really went to work. By the way, if you go through the PHN archives, you can find all of that. Actually, it was PHN Extra. I did that for our subscribers. And I don't know that he fits that speed forecheck game. He should fit into the cycling well, but I didn't even see that too much last night. The Penguins had a pretty short leash on him. But overall, you have to like the Penguins' depth of where they sit. You have to really like the fact that Chris Letang can miss a game and the Penguins can still dominate the puck in that game. Now, if the Islanders had dominated the Penguins, kind of a vice versa situation, if that had gone on, then you can say, oh boy, the Penguins are in deep trouble. But instead, for all of the scapegoating on Mata and all the scapegoating on Johnson or Alexiak, they got the job done for the most part last night. Couple line changes caught the Penguins, Malkin and Kessel not picking up their man, getting back. I really thought Kessel had more to give last night, or at least they needed more from him. Malkin as well. I think that's why Malkin was so angry when he scored that goal in the third period, because he knew that he could have been in better position to prevent a couple of the first 3 or 4 goals. So, but you know what you get with that line, right? That line, Hagelin, Malkin, and Kessel, they're either going to score a couple goals for you, or they're going to allow a couple. Flip the coin and figure out what you're getting on that night. God bless Mike Sullivan. He's come to peace with it, I think. He's just decided that he's going to go with it. And to their credit, until last night, Malkin and Kessel were taking strides to play better. And maybe you've noticed this. Maybe you have. Every time Malkin and Kessel start joking around publicly, they have a bad game. Everything's going well, then they joke around in public, bad game, they have to get it together again. It's kind of like this. That will forever be their double-edged sword, won't it? Because I think they genuinely just have a good time playing together. And it's like sitting with your best friend in the back of the classroom. You have to focus just a little bit harder to pay attention in class and to get your work done and to do the things that you need to do to be successful. Because it's too easy to start having fun and goofing around or think that your goofing around can be productive. So I suspect you will not see the same Malkin and Kessel in Long Island tomorrow. Are they playing in Brooklyn? We're out on Long Island tomorrow night. Either way, I feel bad for the Islanders fans because neither is a great place to watch a hockey game. Let me check the chat board here. Do me a favor. Yeah, listen, don't lurk. Participate. That's the whole point of this, is to participate. I guess we've already hit the whole Sprong thing. I'm rolling through PHN here to see all the things that I wanted to talk about. And maybe I'll end it on this one as we get close to the 1 hour mark. And that is, I think the word you're hearing out of the Penguins locker room a whole lot lately is trust. Mike Sullivan went hard on that theme in the morning skate yesterday. Trust. I was kind of stirring up trouble would be the wrong phrase to use, but I was pushing guys to kind of see where they felt they were at as a team. That's what I was doing in the locker room yesterday, and hence came the piece. Penguins finding themselves and finding trust, because that's the word I started to keep hearing then. I had asked Brian Rust if the Penguins found themselves on the road trip. And, look, there's a few answers you can give to that. Like, yeah, I think we got a glimpse of ourselves, or yes, we found ourselves, or no, we just played some good hockey, there's a long way to go, etc. Rust agreed that they showed up, and he felt like their identity had begun to emerge on the road trip, or emerged. I couldn't get the same out of Jamie Alexiak. He said it's early, right? And, he's like, we did some things well, but there are other things we're still trying to find in our game. From his standpoint, and I was able to chat with him a little bit, what the Penguins really are focusing on, and trust is kind of that corporate buzzword maybe to get everyone's buy-in. But the nuts and bolts of it are this. Connected play. The forwards being connected to the defensemen and the defensemen being connected to the forwards. And having that 5-man unit in all 3 zones. I feel like I'm spouting Sullivan cliches all of a sudden. But that's really what it is. Forwards getting back in the defensive zone and being responsible. Clogging the neutral zone when the other team is trying to rush up ice. Defensemen being able to pinch in the offensive zone to keep the play alive, to keep puck possession, to get an offensive chance. But in order for defensemen to be able to do that safely, a forward has to cover their backside. The high forward has to do that. F3, if you will. The Penguins were absolutely terrible at that last year. Terrible. They were one of the worst good teams I've ever seen. The number of 2-on-1 breaks, the number of breakdowns as defensemen tried to contribute. So this year, the term is trust. See there, finding themselves and trust. And it was sponsored by our good friend, attorney Joshua R. Lamb. Give him a call if you've been injured. There's his phone number. Injured in a car accident, injured at work, medical malpractice. We really like Josh. His career is really taking off, and he's getting a lot of work, and And I don't know if he'll need us in a few months, but while he's one of our sponsors, we're happy to promote him. But anyway, I was trying to find Mike Sullivan's quote, and there it is. During the road trip, we played together as a group. We were trusting one another. We were doing our own job instead of trying to do my job and someone else's job, and that's important. It really is. Because last year, they were just a disjointed mess so often. They were trying to do everyone's job, and there were breakdowns. Hey, who gave me a thumbs down? Screw you. I appreciate the one thumbs up. Anyway, so we've gone about an hour here. Probably somebody who thought Matt Murray was terrible last night. It was all Matt Murray's fault. We need better goaltending. I don't watch hockey until after the Steelers are done. But, I watched a few minutes of that game last night. Murray, he gave up them goals for them Islanders. And I was watching with Mom there. Mom, she got the bursitis going. She got the sugar and that, and them damn doctors, they're quacks. Just giving her a bunch of pills for all that stuff, So I go over there, and she's on fixed income, too. Her knees hurt and kind of that. She can't walk around too much. And I say, hey, Mom, look at that. Murray letting that goal in. Too much? Am I going too far? I told you there's a little bit of Bud Moonshine trying to get out today. So that's just about going to do it. If you like what we're doing here in Pittsburgh Sports Live, please, by all means, give us a helping hand. Click that subscribe button because we need to get to 1,000 subscribers. And, hey, look, buying somebody a car for Christmas or buying a new car for yourself, when the potholes start eating your car, remember our friends at Beaver County Auto. They'll make a Beaver believer out of you. And no, I didn't write that. And no, I'm not going to make any jokes about their tagline because they're wonderful people. And go buy a car there. All right, I am Dan Kingerski. This is Pittsburgh Sports Live. The chat will be up on Pittsburgh Hockey Now in a little while as well. I'm going to grab some lunch, and hopefully you've